Fact-checking matters because the information we consume shapes how we vote, how we respond to crises, and how we understand the world around us. When disinformation spreads unchecked, it erodes public trust, fuels division, and creates an environment where bad faith actors can manipulate entire communities with very little effort. In moments of political tension or humanitarian suffering, a single false claim can escalate fear, distort policy debates, or redirect resources away from the people who actually need them. This is why verification is not just a journalistic practice, it is a form of public protection. And before we begin, I want to say a genuine thank you to everyone listening to the Intelligence Spotlight series. Your support, your messages, and your attention give to these conversations mean a great deal. This platform exists because of you, and I'm grateful you're here with us. My guest today is Alice Echtermann, an investigative journalist and fact-checker at NDR and former head of Corrective Fact and Check. She studied media and communication studies as well as political science in Bremen and has spent the past years specializing in disinformation platforms and open source research. At Corrective, she joined in 2019 and took over the fact-check team in 2020, right in the middle of the COVID pandemic, helping to build standards for evidence-based fact-checking in Germany. Her work has been recognized with several awards, including the German Reporter Prize and Sigma Award for Data Journalism. Alice, very warm welcome to the Intelligence Spotlight series.
Thank you for the invitation.
Great. Alice, for every guest, we have a very sometimes quirky, sometimes unexpected question. What was the last time you had a food and you disliked it? And what was the food about? What kind of food that was?
The food I disliked. Oh wow, it's a tricky one because I actually like food a lot and I eat almost everything. It's I guess the last time I ordered at the bakery, you know, there's this kind of typical local thing you can get at German bakeries in northern Germany. It's called Franzbrötchen. It's like a cinnamon roll, but it's flat.
Right.
And it's usually supposed to be without marzipan.
Uh-huh.
But I hate marzipan, and sometimes at some bakeries they're just smuggling the marzipan in there, and then it's just you buy it and then you just take a bite and you're like, wow, what's this?
Yeah, it's like a surprise taste. It's like, here I am. All right.
Yeah, so that was the last
great
time.
yeah, absolutely. So great to have you in the show. So jumping right into it, the question I want to pose to you is that because you're doing a lot and doing a great job in terms of fact checking in Germany and focused on German audience primarily, I believe. So when you look at the information space in Germany right now, do you feel people are becoming more vulnerable to disinformation, or is just definitely vulnerable? Because I'm curious that I also lived in Germany for quite some time now, and I feel the landscape has shifted in the past few years.
Yeah, so I think saying people are more vulnerable than in the past years would be wrong because in general the awareness for the topic of disinformation has increased. So I think more people are actually aware that disinformation is a problem and that they have to be careful with the information that they get on social media. So broadly speaking.
Right.
So they know there is something to watch out for. But the big question is, are they actually able to spot this disinformation? And
Yeah.
I think this capability hasn't increased. So I think it is maybe the same problem that we had in the past years. It's the problem that people are trusting their emotions more than the facts sometimes, and they don't really even if they know that you have to be careful with information on social media, this carefulness is kind of overridden by emotion all of the time. So we all know this. You have your own biases. You have things when you are inside your bubble on social media, and you see one of your friends sharing stuff, and this is just meeting your opinions. You just share it, and this hasn't changed. So I think people are not more vulnerable, but the landscape itself, like you said, it has become worse. So the whole discussion environment on social media and also with the alternative media in Germany, which have become really successful and have a good network and very professional in spreading their polarizing narratives. So this has become worse.
On that, because you started with a very hopeful response and then you jumped into the new challenges that are emerging at the same time. And of course, you deal with false claims every day. Um, so, which emerging tactics do you find genuinely worrying? Is it the speed of AI-generated content, or fake donation appeals, manipulated videos, or is it the threat coming from completely somewhere that is less obvious?
Yeah, actually, yeah, the whole AI topic's freaking me out. Like I guess every fact checker, it's because we cannot really predict what will come next. Like the use of AI is increasing so quickly, and also these AI generated images and videos are becoming so much more credible at the moment. Like every day, I feel like there's a new step in technology where they get even better. So of course we are all worrying a lot about this, and I think the outcome is quite open. It could be that we are now facing the apocalypse of information. It could also be that this whole AI slop on social media will maybe backfire in some effect, so that people start saying, oh, okay, now that everything on social media is fake, and like actually everybody knows that everything is fake, then we maybe don't even have a so much bigger disinformation problem,
Hmm.
because people have maybe become even more suspicious, and then they say, okay, yeah, if everything's fake, I don't share it anymore. Maybe I go back to trust sources. So we don't really know yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, this could be also something that you're dealing day to day in different part of the processes that you trying to verify an information that's spreading so fast, and actually politicians are discussing it, right? So, what would you say is the toughest part of fact checking today? Is it the speed? Is it the volume? Or the pressure it has, especially at the work, like, oh, we have to really quickly verify this, or something to do with platforms that are changing their rules constantly, especially recently, like with X, right now, you have the location of the accounts that are based there, which completely changes the whole part about accounts that are based in one country doing or spreading information in another country while pretending to be genuine people, right?
The location feature of X is a good example of showing how technology is actually shaping the whole thing. And yeah, like you said, the platforms are changing rules, and then suddenly everything's turned upside down again. So best example is that over the past years, Meta was a big supporter of fact checkers. They
Hmm.
had these fact checking labels. They cooperated with fact checkers who were certified and doing good job, and as an external source to say, okay, yeah, this post, this information is false or misleading or manipulated or whatever, and then they put these labels on. And then, as everybody knew, there was this big turnaround. And they said, no, we don't want fact checkers anymore. So there's this immense power of these huge companies. They can just make a decision, and then, yeah, this is like a huge ripple effect for the whole
Hmm.
fact checking economy, of course, because all we do is mostly all that we do is based on what is happening on social media. So
Yeah.
I think sometimes good things happen, like haven't made up my mind yet so much, but I think this location feature is actually a good idea. Of course, it is not to be trusted completely. Then you have this problem that people turning on VPNs or people doing screenshots of accounts, just changing the country and saying,
Yeah.
oh, well, look, this Department of Homeland Security is based in Israel, which is not true. And they just
Hmm.
manipulated the screenshot of the page. And then so yeah, all of this brings new problems, and then you always have to adapt to that. So for fact checkers, this is really stressful. You
Hmm.
always have to learn new stuff. You have to adapt to new tools. But I think the main challenge for fact checkers remains the speed and the scale of disinformation when it's
Hmm.
really happening on breaking news events, because we cannot be that quick. Like, my biggest fear always is that at some point when you will really have a very sophisticated piece of disinformation spread in the right time, the right moment, in a
Hmm.
breaking news situation, you will not be able to contain it. You cannot be that quick usually. So
Right.
yeah, that is just the biggest fear of every fact checker, I think.
Hmm. So, who's responsible for that? Who is it the government, the platforms, the regulators, the journalists, or the public to at least control that information in a way that it is either be fact checked quickly or somehow um, basically share responsibility among maybe the public or in terms of media literacy, in terms of so many different tools. But so who's the main responsible when it comes to dissemination of information in this case?
Yeah, I think like the problem that I just mentioned is something that actually nobody else could do something about than the big platforms themselves. With the logic that things go viral on the platforms, you could technologically try to prevent things from spreading like wildfire. Maybe just putting some barriers to stuff that goes viral too quickly. Maybe. Um, that could be a technological solution, but yeah, like how are they supposed to do this? They are not really willing to do this, and then this pressure on the platforms can only come from politics.
Right.
So this is everybody has to do their part, I think, and if the platforms are not willing to do their part, which at the moment I think doesn't look good, um, then all the other parts of society of course have to still do theirs. So it's the politics with the regulation, as good as they can, try to persuade the platforms to build an ethical product, maybe. And then it's media literacy, which has to be taught in schools, which is also often, of course, the state responsibility, and say, okay, yeah, we have to introduce this in the school lessons, which they are doing, at least in Germany.
Hmm.
I mean, they do it, but I think I cannot really assess the quality and how widespread the schools are doing this actually, but I know
Hmm.
that they are doing it. And of course, you also have journalists who have to do their part, and you cannot really say it's all about the fact checkers. You cannot have
Right.
millions of fact checkers around. So every journalist is a fact checker. And every journalist has to do their part. And the problem is that not every journalist is trained in dealing with disinformation.
I
So
see.
everybody who works in journalism knows how to deal with facts and how to
Hmm.
report and so on. But they usually not really know a lot about the dynamics of disinformation, and also how disinformation is exploiting the legacy media environment,
Yeah.
because they needed to kind of jump into the mainstream and really get bigger reach. So journalists have to be more aware of how they are being used also, and how they
Yeah.
can prevent that.
Yeah. If you could fix one structural weakness in Germany's response to disinformation, where would you exactly start? The education, the platforms, maybe the lobbying to the government to provide or to create certain regulatory mechanism for these platforms, or just somewhere completely different?
Mm, the thing that I think is easiest, maybe easiest to fix is actually about the media and the journalists.
Right.
If I could decide, I would say like all the big media companies in Germany, they have to really scale up their efforts and train their journalists and really try to put barriers
Right.
against these like campaigns that we're seeing. They are spreading through every other week. I think we
Yeah.
have a big outrage campaign being kind of you sometimes don't even get the chance to catch your breath, because it's just like one outrage after the other sometimes. And then
Yeah.
I really think the media environment is not really helpful, not really resilient against these campaigns. Who sometimes start in social media with small stuff. They sometimes start with disinformation, but
Right.
then it spreads into the mainstream, the debate, and then. So in the end, nobody remembers that actually a disinformation maybe started all of this, because then we are all suddenly again debating about migration, and then
Yeah.
this is happening very often. And I just think if more journalists were actually aware and would see what is going on there, and then how this originates and it's being pushed into the debate, this could help, I think.
Yeah. 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 I think we need to also talk about the your recent work on the Gaza donation scam actually, which was really interesting, and I think it touches upon on those topics that we already mentioned now. So, what first made you think that something is off here when you saw that those sort of donations? What was the initial signal that actually pushed you and your colleagues to take a deeper look into this?
Hmm. Um, yeah, so actually I spend too much time on X. I just scrolled, and then my timeline on X showed me, I scroll there for professional reasons. Like, I don't
Right.
really
Yeah.
enjoy being there, actually. I just
Yeah.
spend too much time for monitoring. So, um, and my timeline showed me this viral post of a young girl from Gaza, and she said something like, I'm a Palestinian. I'm not a terrorist. If you believe me, please comment with a dot. And
Mm,
then I was like, okay, was this? This is not a natural way of communicating. And then
right.
I saw she had donation links in her posts and also in the bio. And then I said, okay, let's have a look what this is. And then I noticed that there were so many accounts using the same words, like copy pasting the
I
same
see.
phrases. And then I was like, okay. Um, and then at first I thought they were bots.
I
And
see.
then I said, okay, what can I do now? I could try to find out if this person is real. Then I did some reverse image searches, and I found, okay, apparently the photos and the videos of this young woman, for example, they appeared on other Instagram channel, for example. And I said, okay. And then the way that she communicated on Instagram was very different from this mechanic, I'm Palestinian, please comment a
Right.
dot thing. And I was like, okay, maybe this is like a fake account.
Mm,
And, this comment a dot thing, I noticed this is actually not a sign for being a bot or a fake account, because the Palestinians use this a lot on X, because they think it will kind of break the algorithm and give them more reach for their postings. But in this case, it turned out that this was actually a fake account, and it was connected to a network of fake accounts, which was sharing the same donation links. So you had like 20 different accounts,
yeah.
all posing as different people from Gaza, sharing the same donation page. There's this crowdfunding platform called Chuffed from Australia, which many
Uh-huh.
Gazans use. And so they all shared the same donation page, while telling the public that they are 20 different people. And then,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that was actually the start of the investigation. I was like, okay, who's doing this? who's behind these fake accounts.
Yeah. So once you started digging into it now, of course, so many different things also pop up, right? The ones you mentioned, but also like who's behind it and how they all managing it and why they found this particular tactic of okay how to get more reach, right?
Mm.
And it also raises a very wider point, right, when it comes to fraud, humanitarian crises, um, which are also becoming very fertile ground for fraud and disinformation overall, right? Um, so what did you take away from that investigation about how easily people can be manipulated? Even the story draws on a sense of, compassion or having, giving away donations to help people, no? But at the same time, that sort of intentions are being used to scam people.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think of course the whole internet is full of scams. We all know
Right.
that. But especially when it's about humanitarian crisis, it's very dangerous for two reasons. One is that people really want to help. There's a big solidarity
Yeah.
worldwide for the people in Gaza, and there's many people who are willing to help and trying to find ways to help people in Gaza. And at the same time, it's not really easy because many big aid organizations are not present on the ground. They cannot work there. And so this crowdfunding industry, let's say, because that's not a nice word, but people just discovered that they can do online crowdfunding to get a little money. Actually, nobody's getting rich from that usually.
Yeah.
Can talk about that a bit, because my scammers actually seem to have become rich, but usually people don't get rich. They use this money for their daily lives, for food, for whatever. So and the problem is that this is very credible. You have many real people from Gaza doing this, and then you have the scammers kind of using this, going in and becoming undistinguishable from the real people, and just using the same tactics. So in this case, I was actually, when I started the investigation, I was kind of prepared to find out that maybe this is behind these fake accounts is some shady company
Right.
from abroad somewhere, maybe a call center doing these kind of things. Then I found out actually in this case, it was people from Gaza themselves who used these fake accounts and who were kind of pretending to have help initiatives. They said, I have my own local charity and I'm helping people in my neighborhood, and for that I need donations. This was a whole family of people. So they all said
Right.
they have these aid initiatives, and then one member of the family also apparently got the idea I could use fake accounts to be even more successful with my fundraising. And this was a surprise to me, actually, because I had kind of other expectations in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then I think this is just an example also of how not everything is black and white. So it's really complicated when you deal with these kind of scams. Also, you have I mean, these people really lived in Gaza. I could verify that. So they lived in the war zone. They were experiencing the trouble on the ground. This was real.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they found a way to become rich. And this is like this moral dilemma, and also all of this is damaging a lot the genuine charity or I don't know, donation campaigns from ordinary people from Gaza. So this is like, yeah, it was actually quite sad.
Exactly. It's I've seen examples of that in many other places. Like for instance, the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan. Every time there was first the Taliban takeover, and then there was 3, 4 very disastrous earthquakes that happened and killed thousands. and the country in different parts. So of course, when there is a crisis, there is a flood of information online, right? And there's also flood of emotions at the same time. People are caring, they want to help out, but they can't. And then they see a charity or someone is posting something, oh, we're going to help these people, we need donations. And a lot of people, without questioning it, without trying to understand some of the red flags, they immediately go and donate, right? We had these cases, a lot of cases, that even the fake links that actually maybe somebody just created to get money for themselves, it was shared by very genuine accounts, by genuine people who had like thousands of followers, saying, yeah, this group is helping people on the ground. You can donate here. But the question is, like, doesn't matter who shares it, right? At the end of the day, but to whoever donates, what red flags should they be looking for, and what questions should they be asking before even donating?
Yeah. So first thing is, yeah, to be aware, like with every fake or disinformation topic, first thing is that people have to be warned. So if you
Right.
never heard about scammers doing this, you will not look out for any red flag. You will just go. And then as soon as you heard about, okay, there could be a problem, you could have a look. For example, for the social media accounts, you could have a look at one at what time were they created? Like, are they old or new accounts? So
I see.
in this case, many fake accounts, they were all created around the same time. They were all like 1 or 2 months old only. And on X, you don't have to be fooled by the blue check mark because they just pay it.
Yeah.
And and also the number of followers is actually not really telling, because real people can have very little followers. Fake accounts can have a lot of followers because they also just buy them, or they are maybe recycled accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the best thing to look out is, are there other accounts, like multiple accounts on different platforms, maybe for this person, and then try to find out which one is behaving naturally, actually, and then maybe contact them.
Yeah.
And because, yeah, actually, this is it's not a perfect solution, actually, but you can try. Of course, you can also contact a scammer, and he will say, yeah, I'm real. But
Yeah.
you can at least try to do that. And then the crowdfunding pages, for example, it's always, don't want to make any advertisement for GoFundMe, but I mean, GoFundMe, they have quite strict rules. What the people they have to prove their identities to the platform when doing a crowdfunding campaign there. And also, I know that GoFundMe is giving you your money back if there's a scam.
Yeah.
And I don't know if all the other platforms are doing that, but they do it. And maybe you can be careful and just not donate to directly via PayPal or via cryptocurrency. You could just not do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good way to also label all these different platforms where to donate exactly. Yeah, I think GoFundMe has very strict regulations, and then there's also other platforms that are in other countries. For instance, they only release money to an organization, not an individual, and that organization needs to be registered with them. So country-based platforms as well.
Mm.
And I think the challenge always persists on that level. So reporting on humanitarian crises is delicate, no, because of the emotion that is super high there at that time. How do you personally balance your empathy with verification when the stakes are so human and immediate, and you're dealing with a lot of emotion of people, and then you fact checking, saying, okay, your emotion may be in a wrong place because this is not true. But at the same time, also you're also a human, right? It impacts you as well, seeing how information damages people. How do you personally take basically deal with it?
Yeah, this is it's a very difficult question because actually, in the past, I usually thought, okay, I don't have I have empathy, but I could distance myself quite well from what I do for my work because
Right.
I always I could always tell myself, okay, yeah, I'm researching this for my work and try not to think about it too much. In my private life. But with some crises, like with Gaza, it was actually different. Gaza, I
Right.
think it emotionally impacted me more than most of the other topics that I investigated so far, because it's just this huge amount of very graphic content that you see when you're doing the monitoring on potential disinformation or also maybe these scammers, because people just flood every platform with very graphic images, and
Hmm.
it's very hard to not look at them. I'm really happy that it wasn't my job to actually geolocate or verify some of these images very often, because I think if you have to do that, if it could be quite dangerous actually. You should definitely take breaks and then
Yeah.
try to talk about this to your colleagues. This is what I do usually. I talk to someone. I just say, like, not professionally, just like, oh, this just feels so bad. You just have seen this, and then I don't know, can't believe it, and just
Mm.
letting out your emotions at some safe space, and then.
Yeah.
I think there are also some professional advice, like I don't know, not watching videos with the sound on, just everything, watching everything muted, and yeah. So these kind of advice you usually gather doing your work as a fact checker, because when you do the monitoring, you never know what you will see next. Like, you might just stumble across very horrible pictures, not expecting it
Right.
beforehand. And then maybe you just have to be prepared to don't watch it on full screen. If you have
Mm.
to verify and geolocate it, you will have to watch it multiple times. That's
Yeah.
the biggest part of the problem, actually.
Yeah.
And then just maybe mute it, maybe I don't know, do something in between. Just kind of helps you distance from it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think also for me personally, as an ocean analyst, and who also does a lot of geolocations and also forensic analysis, I also dealt with these sort of situations of people being killed on a video, and sometimes for us to analyze, okay, what kind of bullet that was, or what they were saying, talking before doing that, we would do the reverse part. We would not look at the video, we would just listen. By listening, we were trying to verify, okay, how many bullets were fired, right? So you have to count it, or what they were saying before and after. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there's no like a proper, I think, solution. But these are the ways we can, I mean, protect ourselves, but by continuing the work we do. And for your younger audience, Alice, especially the ones who are like primarily on TikTok or on Instagram Reels, or short form platforms generally, what is the single best habit you would teach them to avoid being misled?
Yeah. Um, so the first thing is, if it feels really sensational, like you see this and at the first moment you think like, wow, how did this happen, or how can this be true, or you feel like instantly angry or whatever, then you should stop and then just pause a bit and then not share it immediately, but think about it. Okay, can this actually be true? Is it logical that this happened? Would this person behave like this? For example, if you dealing with political topics, I always encourage people to just 1 second think about, okay, do you sometimes watch the news? Do you know how how politicians usually speak, how they behave, like would they actually do this or say this? And then if not, then you can Google it and whatever. So just having this break. It's very simple. I think it's what everybody tells people about media literacy, but I think it's just true. You have to, when you feel that something is catching your emotions, because it's just very sensational, you should stop and not believe it in the first place. Just do some little research if this could be true.
Right. Alice, thank you so much for being our special guest at the Intelligence Spotlight.
Thank you for having me.